Hi friends, welcome back to my studio. I'm Katie. Today I wanted to do a quick update on my Passport Common Planner copycat tester. So last week I posted a video of what I was planning on buying from the Common Planner pre-order, and I've noticed there's a lot of interest in the passport. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just throw it in my order and we'll see, which I totally get. That's how I feel too. So I thought you might enjoy seeing how I've been using it for the last week, how I'm planning on using it for the next week, maybe a little plan with me, just some talking of my kind of first impressions essentially, because I've only been using it about 7 days, but it's given me enough time to develop some shallow opinions. So if that's something you'd be interested in, keep watching and we'll have some fun together on the flat lie. All right, here we are. I'm gonna do a video on like what I'm carrying around with me with this planner and the wallet associated with it in a different video that will be coming up. But just as a quick overview, these are the materials I'm using: a pen and pencil and eraser, and then I have 2 fountain pens. These are both Jinhao 82s, but we'll get into that here in a minute. Paper clip for marking my place. That's about it. Nothing too exciting here. So in my opinion, I do tend to write fairly small, but I think that if you're into gel pens, I think a 0.3 is a really good size for writing in here, and a 0.5 is doable. But I would stick in the 0.3, 0.4 area. The fountain pens that I'm using, I think an extra fine would be great, and a particularly fine wood. I'm actually using Fude nib pens, which when you write on the reverse are pretty thin. That's what the writing here is, but the Fude nib gives some options, and we'll talk about those as we do like our little plan with me. So if you're wondering about pen sizes, obviously it will depend on your handwriting, but I'm able to get some good words in at this size. With the 0.3 like Pentel Energel, I think I'd be able to get even more in. The 0.5, maybe a little less. I think this nib is essentially kind of in between. In terms of black ink in my fountain pen, I'm using the Diatramentis Document Black, which is a popular one here. Because I'm carrying this around with me, something waterproof is a little more appealing to me in this planner than it is in like my at-home, just sitting at my desk planner. And also I am highlighting over it, so something that is water resistant is going to be important, and the Diatramentis ones work really well. If you're curious to try those, you can buy samples from like Goulet sells 2 ml samples and Van Ness sells 4 ml samples, and you're not going to go through ink very quickly at this particular rate. So full disclosure, today is Saturday, so I've been doing 7 days of working with this because I set it up ahead of Monday, but I've lived through 5 days here. But you know, my work days, those are my most interesting days, the days that are really going to more truthfully see if it works for me, or if it doesn't, the weekends are pretty quiet. In terms of how I'm using it, I put my coworkers and boss were out of town, and I put that up here. I've covered that up with washi tape, but that was kind of helpful to see. But for the most part, what I'm putting in here are just time-specific tasks, which I don't have a lot of, but anything that kind of needs to be done at a certain time, I'm putting here in the hourly section. A little bit of notes at the top, things about like when pre-orders end and whatever, just to keep track in the time before the hours start. And then tasks below. And my idea was that these would mostly be tasks that I need to be thinking about while I am not at home. The truth of the matter is that when I'm not at home, I work a hybrid schedule, so I'm at work about 6 hours a day, and I think of things that I need to do at home, and I've been writing them down here. So we'll have to see kind of where that falls, but I don't mind it. But where I really think it benefits me are things that I need to be thinking about while I'm not at home. So the Costco trip that I'm stopping at on my way back from work, and what things I need to pick up while I'm there. I mentioned in the other video, I'm not doing full grocery lists here. This is like an errands list, although I have also added like a happy mail, like what things are getting delivered this week kind of list as well. And overall, this has been working really nicely. It's nice to see my day like this. I do use a Google Calendar, and that does keep a lot of this information, but it's nice to have a place to remind me to like take the butter off to soften, and like I don't need that to be in my Google Calendar. And the other thing I've been messing with is using a lighter color to put events that take up a lot of time that I don't know that I will go to, but I just kind of, it's helpful to see. So for example, in my town, there's a farmer's market from 7 to 3 on Wednesdays. And because I work a hybrid schedule, I'm often leaving here in the leaving from work to home, and I drive right past the farmer's market. Well, not right past it. I can't see it. That's the problem. In this 12 to 2 kind of region. And so marking off the farmer's market is here actually does help me to remember, oh, do I want to stop there? Which is nice. So putting that kind of thing has been kind of helpful. It's not the sort of thing I would put on my Google Calendar because it would like just clutter up. There's plenty of stuff on there. But I've been enjoying that. I would do that again, but I definitely don't want it to be in my like black. It's not a thing I'm committed to doing. So I kind of enjoy that. I have been writing also in pencil. Like I thought about stopping at Kroger on my way home from work yesterday. I didn't do it. I could erase it or not erase it, but I like that it's in the lighter gray, just to kind of de-emphasize it. So that's what's been going on here. I have found that I need to be maybe a little more judicious about what I put in the sidebar because that sidebar space goes really fast. Obviously, I could use notes pages for that kind of thing, or I'm thinking about maybe making a happy mail spread somewhere else. I didn't really need to put the Amazon list here. That wasn't really an errand. So I'm still kind of feeling it out. So let's plan next week. So I've already written a couple things just because I could. One thing I do enjoy, or at the moment, is I plan to use black. I might change my highlight color some, but I plan on just using black. And that means, for some reason, I'm working from back to front. I don't know why. So we're going this way. Because I know this week that I will be using black next week, it means that I can just add things already. Something in my regular planner, because that one's really an art project and something where I care a lot how it looks and I really enjoy switching inks, I wouldn't go ahead and write things down yet when I didn't know what color I wanted to be using. But because I am going to always be using black, I can go ahead and add things, and if I had more days ahead, I could just go ahead and put my dentist appointment for 2 weeks from now in, or whatever. That's not the sort of thing I would do in my full-size pretty planner. That's the stuff that would just normally stay on my Google Calendar until I set up that particular week. But that was just pencil. But I could put that in here since I know I'm going to be using black ink. It's just such a small planner that I think a lot of color. I don't even usually have the washi tape on here, although I might add it in the future. I think a lot of color will get pretty overwhelming pretty quickly, so keeping this pretty visually uncluttered in the ways that I can will help offset how like smushed and tiny everything is. So I've already gone ahead and dated it. I put in the Tuesday as a holiday, and I did put in some happy mail that I already know to expect. Let's put in a couple other things that I know. So again, I'm using the Fude nib, which is bent, and so I'm using the back of it. That takes a little adjustment, but it's not too bad. So let's do 9 a.m. and it's lab meeting. I do miss the 2 hours, 2 lines per hour the bigger common planners have, but obviously this is a smaller book. Sacrifices need to be made, and I don't miss it terribly. All right, I've got my Google Calendar up here to see what other kinds of things I might need. It looks like I have another meeting at 11. So, you know, in general, I don't mix my work and my personal a ton, but I think this is definitely going to be a place where I am, because it's helpful to know when the timed meetings are. And that's just, you know, what it's good for. I don't have a ton. In fact, I think that is all of my timed meetings at the moment, but I got a couple other things that I know I'm going to need to put in, like putting the cooler out on Friday morning before I go to work, because that is when the box from my local farm delivers my like CSA box. And I think that's currently it for like appointments. Let's put in some other things. So I'm using another Jinhao as my highlighter, again with the Fude nib. I think it works pretty well. This is because these Jinhao 82s are just like the perfect size for a passport, and I just didn't like that highlighters are a lot of them are too long, and I liked this. And then the Fude nib gets a very extra fine writing if you do it in reverse, but then it's angle dependent if you do it forward. So you can make, for example, this, do I have an example here? You can make headers different amounts of boldness based on the angle. And so it means that between these two pens, I get a lot of options compared to how many pens I'm actually carrying. It bothers me that this is there. Okay, so you do need, I had predated this, so you do need to let your ink dry before you highlight over it, but I had already done that. And I just kind of am enjoying doing the days. This ink is Ink Institute Moonshine, and it's like a nice grayish, pinkish brown color. I don't know, I'm tempted to add a little gray to it and gray it out slightly because I was really enjoying how gray this was, but I figured I would live with it in this color first, just because. And then we can do, again, the lower the angle, the wider the line, but then you can do headings like that. So I'll show you how to do the wider line here. So I've been putting tasks on the 11 o'clock block here. So if I do it fairly upright, but on the forward, and this takes practice, which I don't have a ton of yet, but I can get a nice bold line, which is kind of fun. It's like having, I don't know, 4 pens in one, essentially. Now with these bolder lines, you definitely need to give it more time to dry before you highlight over it. I'm not going to highlight over it. I'm just going to highlight up to it. This pen was not clean when I put this ink in it, and it's got a little remnant blue in it, and I've just been living with it. But occasionally it rears its head like that, and I don't let it bother me. So now we've got our tasks, and then I'm thinking that I can use the same color here to put in things like the farmer's market. I'm just gonna, now I have, you know, I have a bunch of stuff in here, so I'm just gonna kind of write it around here. I could lighten this ink up. Oh no, yeah, okay. That is something I should be careful about. Here we go, real life. Let's get some blotting paper. Let's blot both of them. And had a little. All right, well, that's unfortunate. I'm really gonna dampen how cute this looks. I could put a sticker over it. I might, we'll see. It's practice. We're practicing. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, so here's like farmer's market. Let me get the blue off of this. So there's the farmer's market. I think that's the only thing I know right now in terms of times. We can do a couple tasks, a couple weekly tasks that I always need to do. So on Wednesdays, that's when I finalize my farm box order. And I tend to also like to meal plan at the same time because they go together. I think that's all I currently know. You know, we're several days away, so I don't know what errands I'm going to need to run yet or anything, but we can go ahead. Let's just go ahead and put it in. So we'll assume that that's enough space for mail. I should order things less. So here I'm going to do faux calligraphy. So I'm using the reverse. And this time I'm going to spell it correctly. Last week I spelled it wrong. So there's enough room, barely, for me to write that in here across the width. It does take a little adjusting to these narrow columns, but I have found myself reasonably able to adapt to them with the right pens. I'm not going to highlight over that yet. Maybe I will go ahead and blot it, to be honest with you. Not too bad. We're just going to live with it. It's part of life. It's part of life. I might not live with it. We'll see. I might cover it with a sticker. But you've gotten the idea of how I'm using it. Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. I got cute before about the date, which I can do again if I feel like it. This would come pre-printed in the common planner, but this is undated. Let's just go ahead and write July, and it's like week 27. And then I do kind of enjoy, oh, I didn't do it on here. I can do kind of like a swishy thing with the highlighter once it's dry. Okay, so anyway, I hope you found this interesting and fun. If you have any questions, leave them below and I'd be happy to do my best to answer them. This isn't the kind of planner that I do. I plan to do a lot of like setting up and decorating. Probably most of the content about it on this channel will just be updates on how it's working for me and not really plan with me's, because I kind of plan on like being able to just kind of keep moving forward. But I know that there's a lot of interest here, and also I'll probably do another one of these. When does the pre-order? I don't know if I'll get another one up before the pre-order ends, but you might already know if you want it or not. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button. That helps other people find it. If you haven't already subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button. We just reached 1,000, which is really exciting, and I am so appreciative. So thank you for that. And we will talk again soon. Bye, friends.